Hi there, let's do a quick summary of Act 2 of An Inspector Calls. It starts with Gerald's confession. The beginning of this act is filled with tension. Sheila and Gerald argue before Mrs. Birling enters and tries to shoo Sheila away. We learn Eric is a drunkard, and Mrs. Birling is upset by this. Gerald admits that he met Daisy at the Palace Bar, which is a favourite haunt of prostitutes in Bromley. He says he rescued her from the unwanted advances of Joe Meggerty, a local council member. He says he gave her money for food, but goes on to admit that Daisy later became his mistress. The engagement and Mrs. Birling's connection to Eva/Daisy. Sheila gives Gerald her ring back and ends the engagement, but Mr. Birling encourages Sheila to rethink. He is motivated by the benefits the marriage could bring him. When Inspector Gould shows Mrs. Birling a photograph of Eva/Daisy, she claims she does not know her, but Inspector Gould says Mrs. Birling chaired a Bromley Women's Charity meeting where Eva was asked for financial help because she had no money and was pregnant. Mrs. Birling admits that she rejected Eva/Daisy's request because the girl was impudent and had introduced herself as Mrs. Birling. The irony of Eric's involvement. Mrs. Birling refuses to accept responsibility for her actions and says the young man who got Eva pregnant should have taken full responsibility for her. Sheila realises that this mysterious man is her brother Eric. She begs her mother to stop trying to pile blame onto the man, but her mother ignores her. She lists her recommended punishments for the man. Mrs. Birling finally starts to realise that the mystery man who got Eva pregnant is her own son. Eric enters as the curtain falls. What is not something that Gerald claims in Act 2? Is it that he met Daisy at the Palace Bar, that he gave Daisy money for food, that Daisy became his mistress, that he was in love with Daisy, or that he rescued Daisy from the unwanted advances of Joe Meggerty? The correct answer is he does not admit that he was in love with Daisy. What do we learn about Eric in Act 2? Well, we learn that he is a drunkard and that he is the father of Eva's baby. And the key events from Act 2 of An Inspector Calls are that we learn Eric is a drunkard and Mrs. Birling is upset by this. Gerald admits that he met Daisy at the Palace Music Hall and says that he rescued her from the unwanted advances of Joe Meggerty, a local council member. He says he gave her money for food but goes on to admit that Daisy later became his mistress. Sheila gives Gerald her ring back and ends the engagement, but Mr. Birling encourages her to rethink. He is motivated by the benefits the marriage could bring him. Mrs. Birling admits she refused to help Eva/Daisy when she asked for financial help at Bromley Women's Charity meeting. She said this was because the girl was impudent and had introduced herself as Mrs. Birling. Mrs. Birling refuses to accept responsibility for her actions and says the younger man who got Eva pregnant should have taken full responsibility for her. Sheila realises that the mysterious man is her brother Eric, and she begs her mother to stop trying to pile blame onto the man, but her mother ignores her. She lists her recommended punishments for the man. Mrs. Birling finally starts to realise that the mystery man who got Eva pregnant is her own son, and Eric enters as the curtain falls.